Hey, what's up, podcast listeners? This episode of Another VO Podcast is sponsored by Headphone. If you're looking for something new to listen to during that long commute to work, that trying workout, or just for funsies, check out Headphone, a premium audio show platform. They've got comedies, romance, and even thrillers and horrors like Dracula and Dark Matter. So check it out at headphone.co.in. Use code AnotherVOPod10 to get 10% off your first month subscription. That's AnotherVOPod10 to get 10% off your first month subscription. Believe it or not, it's another VO podcast with three guys who are full-time voice actors at different stages of life, career, and location.
But they have formed a bond and work together to hold each other accountable and help each other on their VO path.
Three guys from different backgrounds working together, helping each other, and sharing with you along the way.
Hey, what are we calling it again?
It's another VO podcast.
Okay, guys. Sorry, I get it. Come on, you're not my dads.
Hey, it's another VO podcast. Welcome back. Glad to have you. This is episode 15.
Woohoo!
Hey, Troy. Hey, Jake. How you doing?
Doing pretty good.
Yeah?
Good. Better, I should say.
Well, I've got a topic for you. I don't know if it's maybe as controversial as some of the ones we've covered here lately. But first, let me tell you about my weekend.
Okay.
I think I told you I was going to a disc golf tournament on Saturday.
Yeah.
Playing in a disc golf tournament. I've done that many times. I enjoy playing disc golf. I enjoy the competitive spirit. And I played a tournament last June on my home course.
Yeah.
And I won.
Yes, you did.
Like I dominated. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I did really, really well. I was so excited. And I felt like, okay, I've turned a corner and now I'm going to go and start blowing everybody away in tournaments, right?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't think that, but I felt like I was going to start doing a lot better in tournaments than I had done.
Yeah.
So I went to a tournament that I played last year, about an hour and a half, almost 2 hours from here. And I went the night before, played a practice round, and I was 1 over par, which
Nice. That's pretty good.
Last year, I'll tell you, I was 6 over par on that course. And then the second round, I was 9 over par. I was not very happy with those results. So I thought, in my practice round, I'm 1 over par. I made this nice, beautiful shot around a mandatory pole and then back the other direction, a shot that I don't usually make.
Sure.
Feeling good, making putts. Went out Saturday morning, and I went 9 over par.
Oh, the wheels came
tanked.
off. Not good.
I had one hole where I hit a tree that was so close to the tee that it bounced backward at me and was past the tee.
Oh, no. Do you just take that shot from the tee again, but like you take that
you
plus
can take
one?
the shot. I learned you could take the tee shot again for a 1-stroke penalty.
Yeah.
Which I chose to do because it was past the tee, but it was to the right a little bit, which was behind some big bushes, and I couldn't get through. So big bushes and trees, and I couldn't get over them or through them.
Yeah.
So I said, I'll do the tee again because it's a narrow gap there, but it's at least a gap. I hit the tree again.
Oh, no.
I hate.
And then I went out of
real
bounds.
golf
I ended
is
up
like that.
Yeah, it is. I ended up taking an 8.
On that hole alone?
On that hole. Par 3.
no.
I took an 8. It was a disaster. I could tell that the other guys playing on my card, they were like super uncomfortable because they didn't want to say anything because here I am just collapsing on a hole.
Yeah.
And anyway, it was bad. After that hole, I did pretty good. I got a birdie on the next hole and then par all the way and birdie at the end. But the damage was done. Right.
Sure.
Oh, that sucks.
So I couldn't end up doing any better.
And even in real golf, one hole will it'll blow the whole round.
That's all it takes
Oh,
is
yeah.
one hole.
It just takes one bad hole.
I've hit a tree with a real golf ball and had it come back at me so fast I had to hit the ground to get out of the way. That's scary because those golf
Yes,
balls
it is.
are, it's like a rock coming off a lawnmower. It hurts.
It is. Well, those
definitely
flying
don't feel
saucers
good.
are pretty scary too. They
I
come
bet.
real hard.
And your drivers are typically not sharp, so to speak, but they're
There's a wedge to them.
Yeah,
there is. There's a wedge. Well, somebody hit a cameraman on tour, and he had to go get staples in his head.
Oh, I think was that a couple? That was a couple months ago, right?
That was this season. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was Barella.
It was Eagle McMahon.
Was it?
He threw what they call in disc golf
was it tomahawk or grenade?
A grenade.
Yeah, that's
straight up and over the trees and come straight down, and he put a lot of juice in it and did not know. Couldn't see the cameraman on the other side of the trees. And ended up popping him in the head. Had to get staples and stitches and whatever else. Well, here's why I'm not telling this story so I can get your sad replies or your sympathy. I'm telling you this story because I failed to manage my expectations. Okay? I failed to execute my plan on the disc golf course, but more than anything, I think I'm disappointed that I failed to manage my expectations. I thought that the performance I gave at my last tournament where I won and did really well, of course on my home turf, that was the new Alden. Alden is this now, and he will always be this great, performer on the disc golf course. Now he's a 900 rated player. Not true. I did not manage my expectations. So, here's our topic for the day. Beware the seduction of the exception. Okay, you follow me? When it comes to the voiceover world, you and I have seen these advertisements for programs, for coachings, for workshops that say they're going to give you their top secrets of how they, in a short period of time, made it to 6 figures. And now you can too with these secrets, right? I think that all of us know we need to manage those expectations.
Yeah.
Have you seen what I'm talking about? Have you seen those,
there's
those promises
at least
made?
2 or 3 different people I see on Facebook every day,
right. And I'm waiting for somebody to start selling VO Elixir.
Yeah.
Just drink this bottle of VO Elixir and your voice will be as smooth as mine.
That's right. Yeah. Exactly. So, what do you guys do to manage your expectations in your business? Because now, this is not, maybe we, on our own can share what we make in voiceover and how we do, but this is not that episode. This is not that podcast.
Right.
But I think I can tell you and tell everyone, I'm not making the 6-figure income that's promised by all the gurus, right? By all the whatever, by all the secret sauce experts. I'm not there.
Yeah.
I hope to get there someday, but it's a process. So what do you do to manage your expectations?
Man, I just keep grinding, and I take it day by day. And I just kind of think about the things I learn every day, as I go through the business. I don't know, I've never bought into any of those, come take this class and learn. I just never bought into it. I just know that voiceover existed, so I got into it, and I was just trying to figure out how to make money. I've seen the quotes that are out there, on the pay to plays. But I have seen, the budgets that are out there for those agency gigs. So it is possible. But you got to understand, when you're auditioning for agency stuff, you're competing against highly competitive talent. And when you're on pay to plays, you might have some good talent you're competing against, but you're mostly just competing against the numbers, and you're competing to try to get heard. So it's you can make that good money in there, but like you said, it's a process, and it doesn't happen overnight. Does it happen for a select few, in a quick manner? Sure, but everything happens.
We call them the exceptions, right?
Right, the exception, exactly.
And that's what is so seductive, is we can see that small percentage,
and you think that's going to be
leap
you
forward, right? And you believe that's going to be you, and you believe you're going to do it just because, I guess, right? And
that's part of it.
We forget what work they put in, what they had to spend maybe to get some top-notch demos, and maybe they had the extra money to put it in and do all of that really quickly. I don't know. But those exceptions. Troy, what about you? What are your thoughts?
I think I try to keep it grounded and real, because I didn't have any big expectations when I got into this, because I thought it would start out as a part-time thing and a hobby, and I always wanted to do it. But then when I saw the reality of there is a possibility to make a living and to do that, so I set very reachable, attainable goals. And that has really helped keep me grounded because I don't expect to make six figures until year 5, 6, or 7, maybe.
Well, that's very
and
realistic.
I'm in year 3. So, I want to hit this and this and this. And then you got to set some goals and standards that are not financially relatable, because everything can't be about the money.
Right.
It's about the improvements. And it's, I had goals of having more stuff out to help other people and to do more with podcast and more on social media. And it can't all be about money. Because I think anytime you solely focus on money and income, you'll fail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because my mission statement this year has one line about I want to earn X dollars, and this is what I'll do to reach that goal. And then I list in there about I will audition relentlessly. I will train relentlessly because I have to do it relentlessly just to make this. To get there. But my main things in my mission statement this year was putting mental and physical health first, and also to take at least 2 3 to 5 day breaks with no work this year. And if I hit those type of goals, I'm a lot happier than I'm worried about this week. I got to make $1,000. Next week, I got to make $2,000. Oh, I'm behind. If I don't make $3,000, I'm not going to make go. You can't do that.
You can't.
You can't because you'll lose your
you'll lose your artistic ability. Will become focused on money, not on your performance.
Right.
And then it's over.
Yeah. And that's not just focused on money as a matter of greed, but sometimes it's a matter of survival. If you go through some lean times in your business where all of a sudden you're not winning as many auditions as you were, and we get an average by taking the highs and the lows and mixing them together. So you're going to have high times and you're going to have low times.
Right.
That's how you get your average. It's not every week's not going to be on average.
Right.
So you have those low times and you go through them and you start to feel a little bit desperate, right?
Sure.
And it can get in your head and it can mess with your performance, your auditions, and it spirals sometimes.
Yeah.
It does.
You got to fix your head before you can get back on track.
And we're in that rocking chair spot where we're not beginners, but we're not well-known, established voiceover people.
Right.
We're in that middle thing, and I'm not stealing from Kevin Kilpatrick, Middle Class VO podcast. I love Kevin and Bobby, but we are in a middle class VO genre right now. We're doing these spots, those spots, whatever we can do to grow and establish and find our niche and find our path.
Yep.
And, as people that are more highly successful, what I see as I stand back now and look at is they're more genre specific. They're not doing as many different genres. They're able to lock in with a management company and get promoted into certain genres and get that work. Hooray! That I would love to get there one day.
Right.
But we have to wrestle and fight and do what we got to do to pass that thing. Just like any small business, they say most of them crash, but most in the first year, but after that, the year 5 is a big mark. And once we pass through or push through that, then I think our focus becomes different. But like you said right now, setting expectations and sticking to stuff.
Yeah. Well, all three of us are in that. We've laid foundation. We're putting walls up. And we've got enough functioning in our business to put food on the table and keep us going, not necessarily to, pile up in retirement or take those dream vacations, right? We're not doing that yet. But at the same time, we've laid the foundation. And I would even say that for each of us, we've even started to see glimmers of what the market is telling us might be our strongest niches.
Right.
So
for sure.
That's to me, that's starting to round a corner, I think. But you still have to continue to lay those foundations and have the right expectations. Let me give you some stats here. This is from the NAVA survey from the last couple years. The survey results this is income based. So in the income based portion of their survey, the amount of voiceover actors percentage-wise making less than $40,000. You have a guess of what that might be, Jake?
The percentage?
The percentage making less than $40,000 a year annually.
Oh, this might be high, but 80%.
You're pretty darn close. 76.6%.
Now, what does that tell you?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't, and here's another nuance that I think that goes on. And I talked about this on another podcast that got taped on Saturday. And I don't blame anybody for painting a pretty picture. Do not get me wrong.
Yeah.
You should, because
it
helps you, it helps you establish credibility and this, that, and the other.
It does.
I hate to see things painted as a pretty picture, and that tells us that there's not that many people making decent money. But I see too many people painting a picture they are, and I'm not sure if they are or not, because there's no transparency and you're not really sure.
Yeah, that may be.
And that can be discouraging in what we're talking about.
Well, and there are good coaches and good programs to be a part of. And they do need to put the sheen on. They need to say, here is what the best we can offer. Here's what we're offering can do for you. But what every person who buys into that thinks that they're going to be the one, right? Mm-hmm. And that there's nothing wrong with having that as a goal to get your income up, to be one of the top performers in your vocation, especially in voiceover. That's fine. But you need to manage your expectations. That's all I'm trying to say. Take those programs, but you're going to feel like you're hitting your head against a wall if you've set your expectations so high and you're not meeting those. Because what all three of us have learned is it takes time. You have to add all those things in the formula plus time.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
To get where you're going.
Yep.
Less than 75,000. What's the percentage?
Oh my gosh. Less than 75,000. Well, I guess it's not as high, obviously, but
No. It would include that same percentage.
Oh,
right. So under 40 is also under 75.
87.6.
85.3%. Pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that means less than 15% are making over $75,000 in voiceover.
Mm-hmm.
But we see these programs and we hear the success stories, and it leads us to believe that everyone's going to do it, and that it's so easy that you and I could just jump in there and do it without even putting the effort forward sometimes.
Right.
And that's not a survey of 100 people either. It's
right.
a lot.
It is a lot.
Pretty broad survey.
Almost 1,300 responses.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a lot.
Yep.
It is.
That's a lot. So, talk to us, Troy. You mentioned earlier about you do the daily things that get you. Like you set your number of what you wanted to make this year, but more importantly, you set your tasks. Talk about, and you don't have to tell us exactly what your tasks are, but talk to us about the process of why you wrote down tasks instead of an income-based goal.
Well, I feel like if I'm doing the numbers thing the proper way, and I've had to adjust that this year. Last year, it was every audition I could do. This year, it's become every audition I should do.
Okay.
And so that number has really changed. Whereas before, I was being encouraged by a former coach or somebody I had taken some or bought some time with to do everything I could. What if it's already got 80 submissions? Doesn't matter. Do it anyway. What if it's already this? It doesn't matter. What if it's not a fit? Doesn't matter. Do them all. It's a numbers game. It is a numbers game, but don't do them all.
But not in that
if they don't,
sense.
if they don't fit, if they don't fit your voice, don't do them. And I cut back on that, and I saw the other things start to increase. My overall goal, and I know this really sounds cheesy, is less work, more money. And I don't mean less marketing or less whatever. I mean less time on the mic to make more money.
Yeah.
I don't want to record for 6 hours a day to barely get by. I want to record for an hour a day, hour and a half a day, and I want to spend the rest of the day marketing and doing social media and maybe working on something else.
Yeah.
So that's the way I approach it now. I look at if I hit 10 to 15 auditions a day, that's a pretty busy day for me because I'm handpicking and I don't get a ton of agent auditions, maybe 5 a week, maybe. Some people get that many every few hours, but I don't get that many because they know.
Right.
Why should we send him that? That's not a fit. And they know they send what is a fit. So yeah, that's the way I approach it now. And I don't worry about who could say I don't worry about the income? Let's not lie. Of course you worry about it, but I don't look at it every day and go, oh God, today I only made $150. Today I only made $200. Oh wow,
yeah.
Today I made $2,000. You can't do that. I do look at it towards the end of the month. I look at my receivables. I don't look at what I book. It's solely based on accounts receivable, what was paid for in July or August or whatever month. And that's where I look at it and say, am I doing okay? Am I close? That one day a week or out of the month when I tally it up, I know where I'm at, and that's it. I try not to overthink it, but I try to make sure I'm focusing on my performance, my prep for that performance, delivering the best audition I can, making sure I'm following directions and instructions, I'm labeling properly, I'm doing all those things correctly to keep me in the game for the long run, and just focus on those things, and everything else will come.
Right.
Yeah. So, Jake, if you're not using your income as a measure of how successful you are in your business, or if your business is making progress forward, what is it that you're measuring? What do you look for to know and help reassure you that your business is moving forward, that you are seeing success?
Well, I mean, I guess I do kind of look at the income. I was more so thinking like you can't stress about the income. I mean, like, because here's the thing: if you are auditioning and you're a working voiceover actor or voice actor, any day could be the day that you get the audition and you just happen to nail it, and then like that's like, and when I say the audition, I mean like I'm talking about a well-paying job or a job that's going to lead to more, that's going to connect you. Like it could come at any time. You know what I mean? And so I try not to stress about it that much. But I mean, like I like to measure it by just like jobs I'm booking. I mean, like who am I booking with, and also like the connections I'm making. Like who am I connecting with? Trying to like get people to be like, we want to work with you, and then one job, oh, we got another job, oh, we got a bundle of jobs now. I mean, like just like the connections you're making, like if you can get a couple of just repeat clients, I mean that can right there just kind of get you through a year, get you through a month kind of thing, and that's what you should be going for. Yeah, it's great to audition for these one-offs, but through your direct marketing, through your connecting, networking, and all that stuff. I mean, like if you can get a couple of people who want to hit you up a couple times a month, maybe a couple times a year, just for some repeat work. I mean, like at least it's coming, right? Like that's good. Right. That's what you should be kind of like focusing on trying to establish. I mean, like it's cool if it was just like if I still had a full-time job and like kind of what you were saying earlier, how you thought maybe it would just be like a part-time gig. If I still had a full-time job, then I probably wouldn't worry about marketing myself too much. I'd probably just solely be auditioning on maybe 123 or voices.com just to try to get some extra income on top of whatever I would be making at my other job. But now that I've decided to be full-time, or now that I've been full-time for almost 2 years, and I kind of realized I don't want to say a little too late because it wasn't late. It was just later on. I wish I would have started earlier. Sure. Like, if I would have started just even 6 months earlier, like marketing and reaching out and networking and stuff like that, I wonder where I'd be now versus where I'll be 6 months from now. You know what I mean? Like 6 months from now, like especially lately, I've been making some good connections. And we'll have an upcoming episode on talking about One Voice Dallas. But I mean, I made some really good connections here, and I'm excited to see what those seeds look like in 6 months from now. You know what I mean? Right. Some might grow fast, some might grow slow, but at least I know I've planted them and they've got opportunity coming. So that's how you should. That's how I try to measure. Is like
it's that old proverb. The best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. The second best time to plant a tree is today.
Right.
So we all feel like that. Boy, I wish we would have started this aspect sooner. But you don't. You got to cut yourself some slack, right? Because sometimes you don't know. Mm-hmm. Right. But when you act as soon as you do know, then you're doing the stuff that you got to get done to grow your business.
Mm-hmm. One thing I like to do that like encourages me, like to give myself encouragement and not beat myself up so much when I do go, man, I wish I had, is I like to think, well, I just wasn't supposed to at that time then, right? Like now I'm supposed to, because now I've got a better handle on not only, networking and reaching out to people, but I got a better handle on who I am at this point. And I've got a little bit of story to myself. Like I wasn't doing it before, I was doing these steps, but now I realize I need to do this. And that just makes me better in general, but it also makes you someone that can provide insight to people getting started too. Like, makes you valuable to other people that are getting started and allows you to help the VO community, because as we've mentioned several times in our podcast, the voiceover community is a great community. There is boundless resources if you would just have the courage to reach out and ask somebody. Somebody will be there to help. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
So that makes me feel good, because now I have knowledge. Not that I know everything, but I have knowledge that can at least help people trying to jump into it can take from me and hopefully get a better start than I did, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I know I mentioned to both of you guys this morning that I had a longtime client that had a YouTube channel, and they had changed the name of the channel and they were going a different direction with it. So I thought I need to just drop him an email and say, hey, really appreciate everything you've thrown my way the last couple of years. You know, I see the channels change, blah, 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 blah. Well, I get a response back. He goes, yeah, we're splitting off into 2 different channels. We had to slow down on the other one, but we'll be picking back up. I thought it was done because I had not heard from them in like 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So I figured they're done. This is their new channel. They got a new format. They're doing some guy doing live interviews with construction people. He goes, no, we're not going to stop the other one. We just kind of on hiatus, you know, but we're going to pick it right back up. And, you know,
nice.
And I thought, well, it was great. I haven't had that work in, like I said, 6 weeks, 2 months. I haven't missed it.
Yeah.
But I thought I should at least reach out and, you know, just say, because you want to be sure. You know how we are. We're a little insecure. Did I do something wrong?
Sure.
Did I overprice? What did I do? And everything, you know, fortunately, everything was okay. I think I run into that a lot of times for what you're talking about, Alden, is we worry about, you know, we don't get feedback. You can audition a million times, and unless you get a short list and unless you book a job, there's no other feedback. So 98 times out of 100, there's no feedback.
That's right.
And even with this, when you're working with a long-term client and they decide to make a change, they're probably not going to talk to you a whole lot about it. So you don't know. And then it stops and you go, well, I guess I'm done. And we assume the worst all the time.
Right. Yeah.
And then this comes
Guilty.
back with a little bit of a positive, which, and again, like I said, it's not a lot of money. It's just, I've had this guy for so long and I was kind of heartbroken that maybe it was over, but I guess it's not. So.
And I bet you those videos or those courses that people are offering where it's saying like, you know, make 6 figures real quick or how I did it real fast. They don't talk about that aspect. I bet. I know they don't talk about the aspect that you just never know what's going on.
No, that's just to get your attention. Probably.
Right. Of course it is.
Probably.
Yeah.
Well, and let me cut them some slack too, because I don't want to sound so harsh and be so controversial.
Mm-hmm.
It's not all just promises. You know, they, in many cases, they know what it takes.
Sure.
And they're telling you what it takes.
And they did it. Right? But did they do it in the last 5 years?
Well,
or was it 10 years ago?
It could be.
So.
Right.
And
that's
what I'm saying is the danger is for every participant in those programs to think that that's going to happen to them right away.
Right.
And so your expectations create a level that it's almost impossible to achieve.
Right.
Right.
And then you get frustrated.
I like to compare this, and because I played baseball, and you can do it in football. Let's do football since I didn't play football.
Sure.
You're in Pee Wee League, and you're a superstar in Pee Wee League. You're a running back, and you're playing both ways as a kid, 10, 11 years old. You go to middle school. You're a starter in the 7th grade, 8th grade. You go to high school. Man, we're going to put you on the varsity team. You're a great athlete. You go through 4 years of high school. You earn your letter, you earn all this stuff, you're a starter, and you got these colleges recruiting you, small colleges, not big ones, small ones, let's say, you know, middle size, whatever. And you get a scholarship and you go play college ball. And when you get to the college level, you all of a sudden realize you're going to be sitting on the sidelines a lot. Mm-hmm. And then maybe by the time you're a senior, you get a little playing time, and then all of a sudden, poof, it's over. Mm-hmm. It's over. Well, you know, voiceover can compare to that in some ways because you can get in on a certain level and you're doing really well and da-da-da-da, and then you start playing at a different level and you're really struggling. And unless you get the proper instruction and coaching and et cetera, you can't keep going further.
Right.
And only so many make it to the big show. Right. And is this any different? It's not. Many of us stay in a middle class voiceover world, and that's okay.
Sure.
It's okay. Don't feel like you have to be elite to stay in this because there's a ton of work in the middle. You don't want to stay down on that bottom end and play rookie ball, but at least get up here, and play collegiate ball. You may never play pro ball, but you can make a good living playing collegiate ball, if that's a decent comparison.
We look at these surveys and we see that 76.6% are making less than $40,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
They are not failures.
No, that's not at all what we're saying.
Right? They are not failures. That is not what we're saying. What we are saying is understand that you're not failures and make sure your expectations are accurate. Right? So the seduction of the exception, and that's why I want to title it our episode, The Seduction of the Exception, is because you get to believing and thinking that you are going to be that one out of 1,000, right? That jumps right to the front and starts your business right at the 6-figure income. And it doesn't happen that
it's like
easily.
winning the lottery, essentially.
Yeah,
Maybe the odds are better in your favor,
Yeah.
but that's essentially what it is. Like you can't,
Yep.
Yeah,
it's a tough gig. And it's tough to sit back and watch it happen. Because as we all know, sometimes we sit back and watch that and we go, I know I'm as good as they are.
Yeah.
I know,
Yeah.
but they are doing something differently that you're not doing. They're either hustling, they are grinding, they are busting their butt, and maybe you're not.
Right.
So if you're thinking that might be your inspiration as to if they got there and I'm not, maybe you're not working hard enough, and in a part-time world, it's difficult because if you're working an 8, 10, some people 12-hour job a day and you got to somehow balance family and voiceover, which is a new hobby, and your family's not real happy about it. You're always in the closet. What the crap are you doing? Are you ever going to come out and play with us?
right.
And those pressures get on you and it's hard to do. So I don't envy anybody that has to go through all of that, especially if they have a family and kids and all that, and they're trying to make all this work and they're trying to break in. I don't envy them. It's got to be hard. I was blessed. All my kids were grown. I started later at this, and it made it quite a bit easier for me to put the time and effort into it. But my gosh, the people that are having to balance so many things and not getting a lot of sleep, I envy. I don't envy what you're having to do, but I envy you being able to do it, to have that strength inside to keep fighting it. It's tough.
So what would you say, and maybe this is how we need to in this episode, what would you say to encourage those who, and I'm not talking about first-timers or new starters here, but those who have jumped into voiceover, taken those classes, and then didn't see the results they thought they were going to see? What would you say to encourage them?
To encourage them, just, try not to give up, and then, maybe evaluate what you are being told, and then start talking to other voice actors and kind of relay your experience and see if you can get their experience from them to see where you could maybe make some changes to your journey, or look into people that aren't necessarily promising you things that aren't really attainable. Like there's plenty of people out there who are just like, let's coach. Let's just or do an evaluation, do a workshop. I mean, something like, don't give up, but at the very least, just find a new person or thing to research. I mean, it's so funny how often the answer to the question is just do your research, like do more research, look into it more. Like, don't just trust this one source, because that's, at the end of the day, just one source. There's tons of sources out here. Everyone's got a different story. Everyone's got and not any one story or experience is going to always be the right answer. It was right for them. Did aspects of their story work for other people? Absolutely. But you're making your own story. I'm making my own story. My story is different from both of yours. And either of your stories are different from the others and myself. You know what I mean? Like, we're all different. We've all got different ways that we're pursuing this, but we make it work. And we do that by constantly be willing to learn. And even though we can get down on ourselves, just like any normal person would in this industry with the abundance of rejection, we continue to grind and we trust the process.
Yep. Yeah, I like that. That's great.
Yeah, the feedback I think is a big deal. Getting that feedback from a qualified person, and it may come down to this isn't for you. But also before you make that final decision, this isn't for me, make sure you're not chasing the wrong genre because maybe you're trying to do commercial stuff or I always want to be a voice in a game or this or that, but maybe that's not really your thing. Maybe you should be doing audiobooks.
Yeah.
And you say, well, I don't want to do audio. Sometimes it's not what you want to do. It's where the industry sends you.
Yes, yeah.
And you need to explore that before you get out. But, and if it becomes a hobby and you're just going to get on Fiverr and play around, go ahead. That's up to you. It's your life. Do what you want to do. But if it comes to a point where I'm just not getting anywhere, I'm not getting anywhere. I've tried this. It's, if I'm in the, back to a sports analogy, if I'm hitting 225 in the minors, I ain't going to go play Major League Ball. Ain't going to happen. So, if you're hitting 225 in voiceover, regroup. And what do you got to do to bat 300? And it may be a genre change. It may be a coaching change, but get the feedback, get good, honest feedback from somebody that knows their stuff.
And not just a genre change. I mean, you should be casting your net pretty wide when you're starting out.
You have to start. Yeah. You have to, because none of the three of us knew, and here's another good podcast episode, I'm sure. None of the three of us truly knew probably where we would book the most. What I found was, and this was some of the best advice I got from a coach, he said, I want you to go back and look at your last 30 jobs you booked, and I want you to classify them by what they were, whether it was a video game or it was a commercial or what it was. I was a little surprised, and if you'll do that, it'll show you that's what you're booking, and that should help you make decisions where to focus.
Oh, yeah. I like that.
So it does.
Like that. Well, thanks for listening to It's Another VO Podcast. We hope that we have encouraged you today. If you're one of those who find yourself wishing you had, wishing you that were the exception, you might be in the end. You might be the exception. It might make it to the top of VO. But if you haven't started, you can't win until you start.
True.
So get out there and record something. Build a booth, make it sound great, and start recording something. And if you're waiting for success to come and you feel like you're hitting your head against the wall, keep doing the right things. Keep grinding. And the results will come. They will come. It just takes time. You got to be patient. Yep. So anyway, Jake, what's our email? We'd love to hear from our listeners.
Yeah, you can reach out to us with your ideas, your thoughts, your concerns, your wins, your whatever you want to talk to us about at anothervopodcast@gmail.com. That's anothervopodcast@gmail.com.
And thanks for listening to another episode. I'm Alden Schinneberg for Troy Holden and Jake Sanders.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of It's Another VO Podcast. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. You can also email us your questions to anothervopodcast@gmail.com or follow us on Instagram at anothervopodcast. See you next time.